Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're plunging into, well, a pretty fascinating question. How did this silent, sort of awkward character become such a global phenomenon? And what does that really tell us about human connection? We're exploring a whole stack of sources today on none other than Mr. Bean, the iconic creation of Rowan Atkinson. And our research suggests he's way more than just like a comedy show. He's often called a masterclass in physical performance, timing, and storytelling without words.
It's quite remarkable when you think about it, isn't it? What's so compelling about Mr. Bean, and this really comes through in the material we looked at, is his unique ability. His way of communicating really complex emotions and being universally understood pretty much without saying a word. He just transcends language.
Yeah, and that's where it gets really interesting for me, because this material describes Mr. Bean as a man seemingly disconnected from the normal social world, seen as childlike, awkward, and unpredictable.
Hmm.
It feels a bit counterintuitive, doesn't it? Like, what is it about that specific kind of awkwardness that makes him so universally connectable? According to these sources, anyway.
Well, his simplicity is absolutely key. It's central to his relatability. We found analysis saying he doesn't speak much, yet he communicates emotions powerfully through expressions and actions. It's this raw, sort of unadorned communication that just cuts through everything else. And, what's often overlooked, I think precisely because he's so funny, is the deeper stuff he reflects. The research really highlights that he's often misunderstood as just, comedy. But if you look closer, he actually mirrors things like the loneliness of modern life or the struggle of fitting in, and also that very human desire for joy in the smallest things.
Huh. So he's not just a goofball. He's kind of a mirror, reflecting these really universal human experiences. And that incredible depth, it comes largely from Rowan Atkinson's mastery, right? The material we looked at really emphasizes his genius for body language. It notes that every twitch of his eyebrow, every confused stare, every silent reaction is crafted with such precision that even without a single word, we laugh, feel, and connect. It's quite something. It's really an art form.
It really is, absolutely. And it's a kind of comedy that feels increasingly rare today, doesn't it? In an entertainment world where, loud dialogues dominate. But Mr. Bean, through Atkinson's sheer brilliance, he shows us that true acting lies in silence. He invites you, the viewer, to sort of observe and infer and feel, rather than just being told exactly what's happening. It puts the audience in a much more active role, I think.
It makes you wonder, though, how does humor, especially humor that's so nuanced, so observational, how does that work across so many different countries and cultures, particularly when there's often a huge language barrier?
Well, our sources are pretty clear on this point. It's simply because laughter doesn't need translation. It's actually astonishing how far his humor reaches. We're talking millions who don't even understand English, but they still adore him. The material points out his show is broadcast in over 190 countries. That's huge. And it's inspired everything from cartoons to fan art. This global footprint is just immense for a character who barely speaks. It works, I think, because physical comedy often taps into those universal human experiences, surprise, embarrassment, triumph, just simple silliness. Those emotions and situations, they don't really rely on specific cultural context or spoken words.
That's a really powerful point about universal emotions.
Yeah.
And what's so compelling about him is that Mr. Bean is, in many ways, he's an outsider, right? He tries his best to behave like everyone else, but, oh, he always fails, often in the most hilariously awkward ways possible. But despite all his flaws, all his foibles, we actually root for him, don't we?
We absolutely do, yeah. And if we connect this back to the bigger picture, it's because, as the sources suggest, in some way, there's a Mr. Bean inside all of us. His struggles, his little victories, his constant relatable awkwardness, they resonate universally because they tap into that shared human experience, just trying to navigate the world, often clumsily, and just wanting to fit in fundamentally.
Wow. This has been a truly insightful deep dive, I think, into a character so many of us just grew up with. Mr. Bean, as our sources seem to collectively sum him up, is clearly not just a comedy character. He's more like a cultural icon, a mirror to our awkward selves, definitely, and maybe a potent reminder that humor is universal.
Yeah, and this deep dive really makes you pause and think, doesn't it? What does it mean for our own communication, our own connections, especially in this incredibly noisy world we live in? If some of the most profound, most universal humor actually comes from silence and from relatable awkwardness, perhaps, that makes you consider how much we truly communicate beyond just words. Just like Mr. Bean in our own everyday lives. Something to think about.